fact, where our next presenter, he's going to talk about British standards, which is actually opposite, because whilst Kate was talking, I was just watching the hammock over there, and the children clearly think it is a swing. And whilst I was watching, a child got poked in the eye by the bracket going across it, and I thought that's going to be the scene of many accidents. So it's highly opposite that Phil is going to actually talk about the reason why we have certain standards in this country. So I want you to pay attention. I'm going to ask hard questions after he's finished his presentation to see who's been listening. So please give it up for Mr. Phil Heath.
Good evening, everybody. I'm ready. I'm going to talk about my passion. My passion is BS. Now, most people think I talk BS, and I talk a load of BS, but I'm not talking about bullshine. What I am talking about is British standards, as I was alluded to. I love British standards, and here it is, BS number 1. It was the first standard in 1903. They've been around that long. And everybody in this room, by the end of this 5 minutes, is going to be as passionate as I am about standards. Don't believe me? We use them everywhere. We need them. Why? Because we don't want people to get poked in the eye with a swing. We need standards. They're all around us, and I'm going to show you, give some examples as to why we need them. But if it wasn't for standards, we wouldn't have had the railways. Do you realise we originally had 75 railways in this country? If you wanted to get from London to Edinburgh, you had to get off and get on 5 trains and get there. Now we can do it in one journey. Fantastic. If it wasn't for standards, we wouldn't have had the car. It revolutionised this world. Henry Ford was the same car, came off the production line, any colour you like, as long as it was black. But it was standard. And then we move into other standards, and we start to think about the standards that affect every one of us now. If it wasn't for standards, we'd have the smog that we used to have years and years ago. Fog all around us. We all suffered from lung diseases. We need standards, and we need them. And you now have got to demand standards from everywhere you go. Hands up everybody who's used any of these standards today. Okay, well, I'm going to show you why you need them, and tomorrow you'll be there, you'll be looking at all these standards, because BNES 228 and 590, when you stand putting your petrol in the car, or your diesel, you'll then be saying, oh, I remember Phil last night, you told me all about that, because if it wasn't for standards, your car wouldn't run. So next time you're at the petrol station, look down, you'll see them. If it wasn't for 1362, some of you might be dead. Because we need it. It's a few simple little things that we all need standards, so we do need these things. And those of you who are here tonight, you're not watching your television, but if we didn't have 1363, the hardwired plug, can you remember the times when we used to go to get a television and you couldn't watch it because you just had a bare wire at the end of it? And hands up those who didn't put their hands up earlier for BS 600. If it wasn't for this, we'd probably have a few more people here tonight, actually. So standards, we need them. You've got to go out now and demand them, because everywhere we go, and there are standards in everyday life, and you'll see these numbers. Quality, ISO 9001. Environment, 14001. And if you don't demand from the people that you buy products from, if you don't demand from your employers these standards, then you are living in a bad world. Because quality, we've got to get it right first time. You don't want to repeat everything time after time, so think about getting the quality standard in place. And if it wasn't for the environmental standard, what would happen then? The health and safety. Here we have the guy in the swimming pool with an electric drill. Who's bothered? Well, I am, because we need 18001. We've got to demand this. I don't want my employer to send me up there, into there, and look at health and safety. Yes, it's the sign at the back that we've got to look at, because beyond this sign, we've got a hazard. And it's exactly the same as this little girl swinging on this tree here. I was sat there, sweat rolling on it. But think about these. When you go and buy some Christmas tree lights this year, and they're out in the shops now, 17 children died last year because they didn't have BS standard Christmas tree lights. HM Revenue and Customs, they didn't have the business continuity standard, information security standard in place. And what happened? 25,000 of your name, addresses, business, every bit of information you have was on one laptop and it got lost. Yes, so we need standards. And as a minimum, you've got to demand this. This is the CE mark. You'll see it on any electrical product that's sold in Europe. It's the Central Conformity European mark, if you want to know. Demand it. And as a minimum, demand the kite mark. It's the British standard. It's everything we should, as people, be demanding on every electrical product that you buy. In everything you buy in the shops, go out and demand the standard. And I have a thought for you today. I might talk BS. I might be passionate about BS, but it's actually blooming simple. Go out and ask for British standards.
Mr. Phil Heath, fantastic.